It happens every week. At the end of Mass, and I'm standing at the door saying goodbye to people, invariably someone will say, "Father, will you go and visit so-and-so's in the hospital? Or will you call this person? Or will you pray for this intention?" And I've gotten to the point now that I'm the pastor of 3 parishes, I'll say to them, write it down. Bring it into the sacristy, and then I'll do it. I said, I won't remember from here to the sacristy door what you've just asked me to do. But if you write it down, I'll do it. I don't know about you, but as I get older, it's easier, more productive, if I write everything down. And then I develop a plan for the day. It feels more productive. And I also feel like I'm more under control of what's going to happen. Well, that's in our human day-to-day things. We like to feel like we're in charge. But it's not always that way in the greater scheme of things. Who is really in charge of your life, my life? You or God? Our readings today are people who like to be in charge, like to have control, like the authority. In our first reading from Numbers, the Israelites are in the desert during that period of 40 years, and they're traveling ultimately to the Promised Land. And they go into an area where there is a king, and he is threatened by these Israelites who are there. So he contacts his own prophet, non-Jew prophet, and he says to him, condemn these people, curse them. And this man, this Balaam, as you heard in the reading, he prays, and he hears the voice of God. And God shares with Balaam the blessings he's going to bestow upon the Israelites. And he speaks the truth. It's not what the king wanted to hear, but it is the truth. It is what God is going to do for the Israelites. Balaam is a man of truth, and God speaks to him. The king realized that this whole plan of his has backfired, and now he's even more nervous about these Israelites in his region. He wasn't in control. God was. In our gospel story, we have some people who love to be in control. Here are the Pharisees, here are the priests. They want to be in control. And now here comes Jesus, who's speaking with great authority, and he intimidates them. So they want to kind of control him. So they ask him, where do you get your authority? He says, well, let's start first with John the Baptist. Where did he get his authority? And they realize that Jesus has put them in a tough spot. And they don't know what to do. Because if they say he's of human origin, then the people who loved John would be disappointed in their priests, their Pharisees. But if they say he's divine, then Jesus would say, but you didn't listen to him. You didn't change. You didn't take his message. So they back away and they simply say, we don't know. Jesus doesn't have time for this type of a game that they're playing. They're not honest with Jesus. And so he can't continue the conversation with them. Jesus knows his own authority. It's from the Father. It's also where John the Baptist got his authority to do what he was doing. John knew what he was about. As you heard in yesterday's readings, John knew that he was not the light, but rather the testimony. He was going to lead people to light, point it. And now today, in this gospel, Jesus, he has already cleansed the temple. And now he wants to do more. He wants to change lives. But ultimately, these people who are standing right in front of him, they don't want to be changed. They don't want Jesus to have authority over them. And they walk away from Jesus. They miss their opportunity to be changed by the Lord. During this Advent season, it's our time to consider, under whose authority do we live our daily lives? Do we try to take control? Or do we trust in God? Sometimes it's easy in the day-to-day moments to trust in the Lord. but then something happens unexpected. Perhaps it's an illness. Perhaps someone in the family loses his or her job, and suddenly we try to grab control rather than to trust that the Lord is going to sustain us. This morning, as we think about the authority of God, the question that all of us need to answer deep down is, who's in charge? Am I, or the Lord? And if the Lord truly is in charge, then when I pray that daily prayer, the Our Father, and I pray, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, I truly mean it in every aspect of my life. And I give thanks to all that has happened, all that will happen, because it's part of the plan of God. My plan doesn't always work. God's plan is perfect. And it's time for all of us to submit to the authority of God. His plan is perfect. Let us embrace it today.